Hello, my name is Greg Reza. I'm the Vice President of the Board of the Museum of the American Indian. And today we're going to be talking about the plant Tule. It is a wonderful plant. So many ways to process the plant and use it in basketry and weaving and other products, like housing and many different things. So, but before we head out into the field, we're gonna need to have a few tools. And one of those is having a backpack, something to take all of your tools in, and make sure that you get some water. We're going to be harvesting here. It's late spring. We're doing a demo. Typically, the time to harvest Tule is going to be in the late summer and early fall. And so you're gonna be in hot weather. In a lot of places where it's at, you're not going to have a lot of shade. And so we're going to make sure we have water. We're also going to have gloves and something to cut the Tule, and something to cut the tips, which is a lopper, pruner, and something to bind the Tule. What we want is bundles that look like that. And so use something like this, like laundry line cord, or you can use sisal rope, or you can use also cotton cord, something like that. And you're going to want something to process it on, and something to lay it down on and to move it. And that's going to be a tarp. All right. Well, here we are at a patch of Tule. Tule is a plant that grows right here. We're very close to the lake. We're at Stafford Lake here today, and it grows near water. You're going to find Tule growing near streams, in creeks, ponds, and lakes, and in areas where there's fresh water. And there are a couple different types that we're going to talk about, specifically the types that are useful in making cordage, making rope, making baskets, and making Tule boats, and the housing for kocha, for so many different mats, for so many uses. What really sets this plant apart is the what grows inside of it, what the pithy center that gives it this spongy almost quality to it, which makes it amazing for keeping you warm and off the ground if you use it for a mat, and also if you're using it to make a Tule boat. It's truly an amazing plant, and we'll get right into it. There are the two different types that we're going to talk about are Scinoplectus acutus and Scinoplectus californicus, and we just refer to them this is the blue-green Tule. And when you get into harvesting, you always want to be really careful and be respectful of the plant. That's the main thing, is that we give thanks to the plant, and we make sure that we tell the plant that we're going to use it for something important. It's not going to go to waste. We would normally be gathering in the late summer, early fall, and so the plants are going to grow over time. And so they're just getting to be this size right now. They're about my height. They're getting close to about 6 feet. They'll get stronger over time, and they will get taller. This one will get up to about 10 feet or so, and diameter will be thicker. And by waiting, the plant actually gets stronger, and the plant is better for use. And so this is a demonstration. I'm just gonna give you an example of how this would be done in the fall. And so, like I said, harder and harder to find, because there's less and less available water. Some of the Central Valley used to be covered in Tule, so many different spots, because there was available water. That water has all been drained, diked, and it's been changed, and so there's no longer these spaces for Tule. Same here in Novato and other places in Marin and in California. Water is so valuable; it's being taken and not being distributed on the land, and so there is less places for the Tule to grow. And so that's why it's harder and harder to find. And a lot of it, that you're going to find is going to be located on private property where it's hard to access, or on public lands. A lot of times you find it on public lands, and that's where we're at. We're at the county of Marin, Stafford Lake Park. And I've received permission to be able to do this video. And so always make sure that you get the permission from the landowner, from the agency, and that you're being respectful. One of the other reasons that we don't normally go out and we wouldn't go and clear an area in the spring is because of nesting birds. So the plant is not ready to be harvested, so it would be wasted, but it's also important for the native birds to have a chance to raise their young. And so we want to be respectful of that. So when we gather, we're always respectful, and we respect the plant, we respect the animals that are using this, that share this, and that we give thanks, and we make sure that we use each and every plant that we harvest. And so when you come in here, one of the things that you're going to do, and I mentioned earlier, the tools that we're going to use. And this little scythe is great for small volume stuff. There are larger scythes. There's a place in the East Bay that sells Japanese steel scythes that are wonderful. There's a sickle blade that is flat, and then there's one that has serrated. And I'll talk a little bit about that. But the flat blade is excellent. The serrated are cheaper, but they're a little bit more dangerous and don't make as nice of a cut. So when you go into Tule and you've got, let's say this had all been well tended, and you have all green Tule, it makes it very easy to come in and gather, because and we're in a dry spot. When you're gathering Tule, you have to be very careful, because in areas you may be walking into sludge, into mud. You're a lot of times out and it's over 90 degrees today, but in the Central Valley and a lot of areas where you're gathering, it could be over 100 degrees. It gets really, really hot. So you got to be prepared, ready to come in, and you want your area to be clean as possible. If I have to go in and clear and work with all this dead stuff, I could damage the plants that I'm gathering. And that's so important. We don't want to waste any plants. And so when you clear your area and you've got nothing but clean area, you're going to have less damage. I'll show you how you would go in. You'd walk in, and when you go to gather an area, you're going to go and you can put your arm, you can get your arm, and when they're bigger, you kind of get your arm around here and you grab. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to go away from me. I'm going to take the scythe and I'm going to cut and I'm going to go away. So if I can bundle these close together, get them all close, and then I can go and take a cut and go like that, go a couple times, I get one more, I've got one more, and then I've got a bundle right here. So when I have my bundle, what I want to do is I want to make sure that that I've got my tools over here off to the side, and that I'm placing the material down on here. Okay, so and I want to take out any of the old material. I don't want this stuff. I only want the freshly harvested material. That stuff is not good for use. If it's last year's, it's never gonna be able to be used. So that's why it's so important that we gather this stuff, that we don't bend it. And as we get in here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep gathering. And normally I would just keep going in here until I fill up my tarp. And like I said, normally I would have 10-foot bundles up here, a 10-foot Tule, and be taking bigger bundles and gathering over here. All right. So we have we want to get rid of the flower tops before we bundle, because what happens is I want to take those off. What happens, and right now you won't see it as much, but when you have a lot of material, your flower tops are going to get tangled. And every single reed that you harvest, you want to be able to use. And if you're not careful, and if you have all these flower tops, as you start to move things around, and I can see another one pops up right there, and I want to cut that one off. What's going to happen is that these are going to get tangled, and they're going to get bound. And what happens when you start to tangle and bind things is that what happens is the reed will actually bend. Okay, and it may seem fine. That is a weak point. So if you're going to use this for cordage, if you're going to use this in anything that you're going to use it for, a basket or anything, that is later going to be a weak point. That's going to snap. So you want to make sure that none of these that they stay as straight as possible. So that's why the grabbing here, the cutting, and then the moving onto the tarp, and then processing from the tarp, and then really being careful and making sure that I'm not damaging any of these plants. And it's going to become, it's really important too, as when I'm going to show you how to dry the Tule and how to process it for use. It has to be completely dried, and that flower cutting comes in handy there too. And so what I do is I gather a bunch of these, and normally I'd have a much bigger, and if you've got a crew and you've got a lot of people, you'll all be gathering. And sometimes you need 50, 30 to 50 bundles of this size if you're making a boat, or you're making something large. If you're making a basket, it'll be less. If you're making a mat, it'll be a smaller amount. But it's still, you're going to be gathering a lot of this material. So you put it onto the tarp, and what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to bind it. And this is where this kind of material comes in handy, is because you want to be careful. All the time in Tule processing, you need to be careful of the material because it's so easy to harm. So as I'm going in here, I have my bundle, but I want to make sure that as I gather it, that I wrap it, and I can go like that, and then I can just twist right here, go back like that, and then just go from here, twist, and twist, and then go down like that, and make sure that I've got a bundle here. When I have a lot of weight in a bundle, if this were a much bigger bundle, I wouldn't just want a single. I'd want to take and cut this and do at least 3. And I'll show you on another bundle how that looks. But you want to be able to carry from several different points, because if you only have one single point and there's weight on either side, you're going to bend it. Again, everything is always about protecting the reeds. So when you have the Tule, you want to make sure that you dry it properly, and that takes a lot of work. And if you're making something like a Tule boat, you're going to want to make sure that you have a lot of space. So you need, you can pretty much put it in a lot of different conditions, but each one is a little different. If you're out in direct sun and in a hot area, you're going to need to be turning the Tule every single day. If you're in an area like this where it's dappled sun, and you can go a couple days of turning and letting it dry. It's a lot more forgiving if you're in an area where it's not direct sun. And so getting a good turning of your material, as you space it out, you gather, you may have several bundles. You never want to really stack it, very deep. You want it to be pretty much all of it exposed to air. So you don't really want to go deep. You want to take this and you want to bunch it and you want to kind of level it out so that it's not so thick. Now the end product here, what we have here was about almost more than 2 times as thick. And when it dries, it just condenses. So a lot of times, if you think you're gathering a lot, you may not have as much as you think, because when the water dries out of it, it really goes down. And what you want to do is you want to do this, and you want to lay it out like this. And when you go and you're turning your material, when I talk about turning, you're going like this, and you're taking this area that may be getting that sunlight. It's drying out more. What you want to do is you want to take it, and each part of this bundle you want to turn like that. And then what you'll notice when this is fully dried, but when it's green like this, as you're turning your material, this may dry out on top right here. You turn it and you're going to notice that the other side is still really green. And so you have to keep turning until it turns like this, which is almost a straw color. It turns almost the color of straw, and that's when you know your material is ready. And when your material is ready, you can take it and put it into bundles. As I mentioned here, we have used this cord, and you want to secure it in 3 areas. You want to have a nice spot down towards the base where you secure it. You come in here and you gather the material together. You put it into the bundle, and like I said, you go like this. Come in here, tighten it up a little bit. Make sure you don't do too tight or you'll pinch the material. You go like that, you bundle it. Come around here, I want to take another, bundle it towards the top. 3 points. And now I've got it here. I can lift and I want to stretch it out. And so now it's right here. I can lift it and I can take it. When it's fully dry, I can store it upright. I can put it in the garage. I can put it somewhere where I can store it, and it'll be good to use whenever I need it. So once you fully dried it and you keep it away from any kind of pests, you're all right. All right, so we've gone from gathering to our green material to drying. And once we have our dry product, we can store that. When it's fully dry, it's not ready to use. We can't just go ahead and start using it. If I wanted to make a basket out of that, or I wanted to make rope, whatever it is, it's not ready to use just like this. What is crucial is once you've got it fully dry, is you have to rehydrate it. That's part of the process. That's part of the magic of this plant. It's something that our ancestors discovered, all these wonderful uses for this plant and how to use it properly. And so once you have your dried material, you got to find a way to rehydrate. If you happen to have a lake or a pond near you, great. You can put it directly into water. If you don't, if you're using small diameter stuff, you can put it into a little bin like this and rehydrate it. You have to put it in there, and it usually takes 20 minutes. Depends on your conditions, but it'll have the feeling or the texture of leather when it's ready to be worked again, and it won't be crunchy. Crunchy is great in a salad, not good on Tule. You don't want it to crack. So the other way to do it is if you're using full volume stuff, which is a lot of times we're using the full length, the 10 feet of Tule. We'll have a tarp, and we'll put it onto a tarp and then lift up the sides and then fill that with water. And then a lot of times we'll throw, we'll just saturate towels and throw those over the top. And if you can do that, then your material will get wet, and then it'll turn into this nice consistency. And I say that right now. So if I were to do this to one of these dry strands, it's going to crack. But because it's hydrated, it's not going to crack. And this is where I can make rope out of this. So I have a piece right here, and it's really soft, no crunchiness. I'm not feeling any crunchiness. And what I can do is I can already, really quickly make some rope. Yeah, so what you do is you see this piece of reed right here. It's amazing, this stuff. I just go like this, and I can start by just a simple twist of the hand and twist right here. I can start making rope like that. And I take my hands and I reverse them, flip it, go like that, twist, flip it, twist, flip it, twist, flip it. And if you can see, starting to make rope. It's that easy. You have this wonderful material with so many different uses. This would be great for using as the perimeter of a mat. And there's a weave that you can do when you bind these together to make this wonderful mat that keeps you warm because it keeps you off the ground. The ground will suck all of your heat. But when you lift yourself off the ground with this pithy material, you put enough of these down and you bind it, you have this wonderful mat. So many incredible ways to use this wonderful plant. Well, I hope you've enjoyed learning about Tule, about these two main types and some of their uses, and that you actually go out and put it to use. Find out what this wonderful plant can be used for, and just the smell and the feel and the touch of these plants. It really connects you and makes you feel grateful to our ancestors that passed on the knowledge of these wonderful plants, and that we have these plants to use.